All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, just so everything parallels what we did in Captivate, is what I keep referencing as a tabbed interaction. You're going to see quickly how much more efficient it is to do in Storyline. So here we are at this scene. You know how to do this. You know what's going on here. We could do I don't want you to do anything in this scene. I want you to get more comfortable working on everything within the scene here. So we're going to have another slide, which we all know how to do, right? So I'm just going to go up to New Slide. I'm going to go up to my, what do you call this? My master slide. I'm just going to pick a blank one, okay? So when we did this in Captivate, it was nothing more than, I think, states, which is absolutely fine. You can do that. But a more appropriate way, and kind of what Storyline is really good at, is doing it with layers. And I'll show you really quick why that is okay. And it's going to kind of assimilate some of the knowledge that we did here on the comic. So first thing is you want to add an interaction and or a button. So I'm going to go ahead and put my button up here. And just some neat things with a button before I get too crazy with this is, you know, everything, I'm sure if you've been playing around, you can see that you can change anything. If you wanted to create a default or just want to use something like this, it's very easy to do. So I'm just going to do this. I do not like shadow, though. You all know that. Get rid of the shadow. And then not only can I just start typing, so I can say tab 1 here in this, but I can also, over here in the top left, you see that I have options, that I can put little icons on this if I wanted, which I will, just for fun here, right? So I'll put this little home on it. Can I make this all open? There we go. So we see all of these that you can put on here. And the moment that you do that, I can also align the icon. See, I can align it left or right. So all those things are available to you. If you want to change the way the icon looks, that comes in with the color of the text here. So you can see I can do that. Let's see if I wanted it black. You see everything changes there accordingly. Okay, so that's that. And next up, what I want to do is create a layer. So this is tab 1. I know that I'm going to call this the tabbed interaction. So I'm just going to double click and call this tabbed. And then I'm going to add a layer. We know how to do that. And I'm going to call this layer tab 1. Now, one of the reasons that it's so much better to do a tabbed interaction Storyline with layers is because you can add that animation, right? You know, in Storyline, I told you, and we showed it really quick, that you can't do animations. It's grayed out. So let me just show you. If I go here to states, right? So edit states, and then I'll pick this hover one, and then I go to animations. You see it's grayed out. I mean, you can't tell that I'm clicking, but I'm clicking, and it's not letting me do that. So that's why it's kind of ideal to have these layers available. So I'm going to go ahead and just insert a shape. It's going to go like such, right? Maybe something like this. I will then format that. I just want it to be white, and we'll do a black outline, okay? And I want this to go appropriately with that. So I'm going to insert a, let's see, just a shape line. So shape line. I'm going to go like this. Move that down. I'm going to make sure that it's black. And we're good. Okay? So this is just kind of some sort of content. Then I want to make sure that it aligns with that button. So here's some things that I now get to do. I'm going to add animation to this. So I'm going to go up to animation, and let's say I just want this to slide in. So I'm just going to go over here and say fly in. I want that to fly in from the right, and it's going to take half a second. But then I don't want this line to kind of appear until that is all the way in, right? So I know that down here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to find half a second in that somehow. So all I'm going to do is take this line and go maybe there. And then at this point, I want that just to kind of extend from that. So instead of a fly in, I'm just going to go with what they call a wipe, which is right here. And then I think I'm going to wipe from right. So what it's going to do is this will fly in, and once it's all the way in, this will extend out to the tab. right? So now I'm just going to quickly jump over to the internet here and grab some text. And then because it's a shape, all I have to do is copy and paste. For some reason, it comes default in white, so I got to change that to black so I can read it. I'm going to align left, and then I'm going to bump it in a little bit so I have some nice space there. I'm going to change it to my most favorite font, LATO. And maybe, let's see, I definitely want to, I'll keep it there in the middle. I'm okay with that. Make sure that it aligns up over here nice. I'm going to do that by going to View and then Guides and Ruler. And then you can see my guides and ruler are these little dotted things here. So I can grab this, move it to the end. You can see some of that stuff is not okay. So I'm just going to hit return. Hit return. And there we go. So now it looks like I have plenty of space there. Next up, I obviously want to put a header in here, right? So it's just called tab 1, so I'm just going to call it tab 1. I'm going to bold it. And maybe I'll throw in like another something here. Let's see, insert, I'm going to do a shape again. And I'll do something like this, which comes all the way over here. That's a little too big. Can't move it, so I'm just going to right click, go to size and position. See that? So now I have size here and my height. I want my height to be about 5. I think that's okay. So close. And now a little color to it. So I'm going to say format. I'm going to make it orange like I do everything else. And I do not want an outline. Okay. And let's add an animation to that too. Why not? Animation. I'm going to fly it in as well. And I want that to fly in from the right. I want it to come in nice and slow, but I don't want it to come in until after that line there, so I'll pull it back like that. Okay? All things we've done before, I'm just messing with the timeline and getting my layer going. So now, I have to go back here, and of course this is going to say tab 1. I want what to happen when I click this? I want tab 1 layer to show. So all I have to do is go over to my button trigger and or up here and say add trigger. I'm going to say show layer, tab 1, when user clicks button 1. Now you can see that says button 1 in the top right, but of course I want to name it, so I'm going to double click and say tab 1 down here. It changes it down here, but it also changes it up here in my panel. So I'm going to go to preview and go to this slide. Here we go, tab 1. Good timing. See that? So it's not the most beautiful thing. I don't know why I have that black background, but I do. So I'm going to close that. I want to get rid of that back and next because that's not our thing, right? I will keep the swipe, but I'm just going to get rid of that. So that way everything is okay when I go to preview. It looks good. Good timing. The only thing I want to do is speed up that line a little bit. Not that any of that matters, but it's the details sometimes. Okay. So now, we've all done this before, right? We know exactly what we want to do and how we want to do it. So this is tab 1. We know that we want tab 2 to be exactly the same, and I'm going to go ahead and put 3 tabs on here. So just for added CV, I'm going to go like this. You can see when I move it, see that dotted line that appears on the left there? That's aligning it. That's beautiful. And then CV. But then not only can I do something along those lines, but you can see how there's not much space here, and there's more space here. So once I make an effort here to name these, so this will be 2, and that'll be 3. See, I also want to change the icon on this. I'm going to go to Format and just pick that. I'm going to go down here, go to Format, and I'll pick that. So we're good. I actually don't like that one. I like that. There. Okay. So we're good. Yeah? But now you see again, there's this space here, and let's say I want it to be above the line here like that. So I want this to be here, and I want that to be there. What I can do is select all three of these, okay? And then up in format here, you have this thing called align, and then anything I can align it left, which will put it against the left edge, right, and all that. But what I'm looking for here is either distribute vertically or horizontally. Of course, I want to do vertically in this scenario. And what it's going to do is it's going to vertically distribute all three of those to make sure there's enough space. So when I do that, I'm going to click it. You can see how that middle one moved. Now there's the exact space between these two and these two. And what it uses is kind of like, think about bookends for a bookshelf, you know. So once I put this bookend in and this bookend in, anything in between here is going to space accordingly. So if I have 5 or 4 or whatever, as long as I pick 2 bookends like that, it's going to distribute it quite nicely. So now, of course, I need to go down here and name these. And I don't know about you, but I like my things to number a certain way. So there we go, 1, 2, 3. And over here we have 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that it carried over my action when I copied and pasted those. So you see show layer tab 1, show layer tab 1. That's okay for now. We're going to deal with that in a minute. But I'm going to come down here to tab 1, and of course you're thinking this immediately. We want to be consistent. We want to have design congruency. So instead of recreating this and getting a little weird, all we're going to do is copy it. See, bottom left. Excuse me, here. Duplicate. You can't quite see it, but you've seen this before. Copy, and then duplicate. I just duplicated. Obviously, you could right-click on this and say copy and paste. But now we just have to get in here and say 2, and then get in here and say 3. Okay? So now I'm in 2, and I know I want this, obviously, to move down, so I'm just going to move this down so it aligns with tab 2. Change this to say 2. And I'm going to go to tab 3. Change this immediately to say 3 so I know where I'm at. Get my arrow, come down here, and get it aligned with tab 3. Now, just so everything's okay, I'm going to maybe make tab 2, just so I can see what's going on. Tab 3 is going to be a short one. Okay, so now we can see. What I don't like, immediately you can tell that things are moving. So I think what I want to do is align all the content to the top instead of how I had it in the middle. So all you have to do is highlight your shape as a whole. And now I'm going to go to align text. You see that? And then top, middle, or bottom. Right now it defaults to the middle. I'm just going to click on top. And I'm going to get in here and hit return. And then I can move my shape. But now the cool thing is I can go into tab 2. Highlight my thing, go to top, hit return, and move my shape. Tab 3, align text top, hit return, and move up my shape. So now when I go through 1, 2, and 3, you can see that design consistency and congruency we talked about is there. Okay? Now I go back to my tab, and because I did all that copying and pasting, I can easily click on this and say tab 1. Yes, I can click on this and go over here, and you see tab 1 is blue, almost like a hyperlink. I click on that, and then I can pick tab 2. I go over here, click on this, now I can click tab 3. Well, let's see if that works. Preview this slide. Tab 1. There it is. Tab 2, there it is. Tab 3, there it is. Go back to tab 1. So you can see all we had to do was create buttons and layers. I don't have to do a show this layer, hide that layer, because you remember when we were doing the comic strip, we had to make sure that each layer had this hide other slide layers unchecked. So it worked to our advantage here because we wanted to see other layers. In this scenario, because of the tab interaction, we want to make sure that's checked. So that way when we go to click on 2, it would hide 1 and or 3, whichever other one was open. So that's a really good thing for us to do. and just a really nice tabbed interaction. Yeah, very simple to do, and that's that. So this will be part 1 of the tabbed interaction.